The rain hammered against the windows of our house in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. Anselm, a 43-year-old architect, had always prided myself on my ability to design spaces that felt safe, secure, and beautiful. But the sanctuary I had built with my wife, Juniper, was crumbling before my eyes. Juniper and I had been married for 15 years. We met at a design conference in Chicago, her sharp wit and artistic vision immediately captivating me. She was a landscape architect, and together we dreamed of creating spaces that harmonized with nature, bringing tranquility to the urban chaos. We moved to Seattle 10 years ago, drawn by its vibrant art scene and lush landscapes. Our life was a carefully curated masterpiece, filled with art openings, weekend hikes in the Cascades, and cozy evenings by the fireplace, or so I thought. It started subtly. Juniper began working late more often, citing a demanding new project at her firm. She became distant, less engaged in our conversations, her eyes glazed over with a preoccupied look. I attributed it to stress, offered to help with chores, cooked her favorite meals, trying to ease her burden. But my efforts seemed to push her further away. One Tuesday evening, Juniper told me she had to attend a last-minute meeting downtown. "It's with a potential client, Anselm. Very important," she said, her voice tight. I offered to drive her, but she declined, saying she needed to prepare in the car. I kissed her goodbye, a peck on the cheek that felt colder than the Seattle rain. As she drove off, a seed of unease began to sprout in my mind. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, my mind racing, replaying our recent interactions. Something felt profoundly wrong. Around 2 a.m., I got out of bed and went to the kitchen, hoping a glass of milk would calm my nerves. As I reached for a glass, my eyes fell on Juniper's laptop, sitting on the kitchen counter. She rarely left it there. Curiosity, or perhaps a deeper, more primal instinct, propelled me toward it. I hesitated for a moment, my conscience warring with my growing suspicion. Snooping was wrong, I knew, but the gnawing feeling in my gut was too strong to ignore. I opened the laptop and typed in her password, a familiar date or anniversary. It opened without a hitch. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I started with her email. I scrolled through her inbox, my heart pounding in my chest. Bills, work emails, newsletters, nothing out of the ordinary. Then I saw it. A message from an unknown sender, Caspian. The subject line read, "Tonight." My hands trembled as I clicked on the email. The message was short, but its impact was seismic. "Meet me at the usual place, Juniper. I can't wait to see you." The blood drained from my face. The usual place. Who was Caspian? I scrolled further down, my eyes scanning for older messages. There were dozens, spanning several months. Each one was filled with veiled longing, suggestive innuendo, and explicit declarations of love. "I can't stop thinking about you, Juniper. Your touch, your smile, you're intoxicating. Tonight was incredible. I've never felt this way about anyone. I'm counting down the minutes until I can hold you in my arms again." Each email was a dagger twisting in my heart. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, my vision blurring. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, was having an affair. I stumbled back from the laptop, knocking over a stack of cookbooks. They crashed to the floor, the sound echoing in the silent house. I sank into a chair, my body numb, my mind reeling. How could this be happening? How could Juniper betray me like this? The rain continued to fall, each drop a reminder of the tears I couldn't yet shed. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, replaying the emails in my head, trying to make sense of the senseless. I thought about confronting Juniper, but I knew I needed more information. I needed to know who Caspian was, how long this had been going on, and the extent of their betrayal. The next morning, Juniper returned home, her face flushed, her eyes bright. "Long night," she said, yawning. The client was very demanding. I stared at her, my heart aching with a mixture of anger and sadness. I wanted to scream, to lash out, to demand answers. But I held my tongue, knowing that I needed to play it cool, at least for now. "I made coffee," I said, my voice flat. "Want a cup?" She smiled, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "That sounds wonderful, Anselm. You're the best." As she sipped her coffee, I watched her, studying her every move, every expression. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed these signs? Over the next few days, I became a detective, meticulously gathering evidence, piecing together the puzzle of Juniper's infidelity. I learned that Caspian was a contractor she had met on a recent project, a charismatic and charming man named Caspian who specialized in sustainable building practices. They had bonded over their shared passion for environmental design, their connection quickly evolving into something more. I discovered their usual place was a small, secluded cabin in the woods outside of Seattle, a place they had rented under a false name. They would meet there several times a week, escaping the city, their lives, and their responsibilities. The more I learned, the more I hurt. The pain was unbearable, a constant ache in my chest. I lost my appetite, I couldn't concentrate at work, and I found myself withdrawing from friends and family. I was drowning in a sea of despair with no hope of rescue. One evening, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to confront Juniper to demand answers, to tell her how much she had hurt me. I waited for her to come home from work, my heart pounding in my chest. When she finally arrived, she looked tired, but there was also a hint of nervousness in her eyes. "Anselm, is everything okay?" she asked, sensing the tension in the air. "No, Juniper, everything is not okay," I said, my voice trembling. "I know about Caspian." Her face paled. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb, Juniper," I said, my anger rising. "I read your emails, I know about your affair." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Anselm, I can explain." "Explain what, Juniper?" I shouted. "Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could lie to my face. Explain how you could destroy everything we've built together." She began to sob, her body shaking. "I'm so sorry, Anselm. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened, it just happened." I repeated, incredulous. "You don't just fall into bed with someone, Juniper. You made a choice. You chose to betray me, to lie to me, to break my heart." She tried to touch me, but I recoiled. "Don't touch me," I said, my voice cold. "I don't even know who you are anymore." She begged for forgiveness, promising to end the affair, to do whatever it took to save our marriage. But her words rang hollow. The trust was broken, the damage irreparable. "It's too late, Juniper," I said, my voice heavy with sorrow. "I can't forgive you. I can't forget what you've done." The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and painful conversations. We agreed to a divorce, dividing our assets, our lives, and our dreams. As I packed my belongings, I couldn't help but feel a sense of emptiness, a void that could never be filled. The house we had built together, the sanctuary we had created, was now just a shell, a reminder of what we had lost. I moved into a small apartment downtown, a sterile and impersonal space that felt nothing like home. I spent my days at work, trying to lose myself in my designs, but my nights were filled with loneliness and regret. One day, while working on a new project, I received an unexpected email from Caspian's wife, a woman named Isolde. She had found out about the affair and wanted to meet. We met at a coffee shop near my office. Isolde was a petite woman with fiery red hair and piercing blue eyes. She was angry, hurt, and betrayed, just like me. We spent hours talking, sharing our stories, our pain, and our anger. We bonded over our shared experience, finding solace in each other's company. As the weeks passed, Isolde and I grew closer. We started spending more time together, exploring the city, sharing meals, and laughing again. We found comfort in our shared grief, and slowly, tentatively, we began to heal. One evening, as we were walking along the waterfront, Isolde turned to me and said, "Anselm, I know this might sound crazy, but I think I'm falling in love with you." I looked into her eyes, and I saw a reflection of my own pain, my own hope, and my own longing. "I think I'm falling in love with you too, Isolde," I said. Our love story was born out of betrayal, a phoenix rising from the ashes of our broken marriages. It wasn't the life I had imagined, but it was real, it was honest, and it was filled with a love that was stronger and more resilient than anything I had ever known. As for Juniper, she eventually moved away from Seattle, seeking a fresh start. I heard through mutual friends that she was working at a small landscaping firm in Portland, still designing beautiful spaces but living a much quieter life. I never spoke to her again, but I forgave her, not for her sake, but for my own. I needed to let go of the anger, the resentment, and the pain in order to move on with my life. Life is unpredictable, full of unexpected twists and turns. Betrayal can shatter your world, leaving you feeling lost and alone. But it can also be a catalyst for change, a wake-up call that forces you to reevaluate your life and your priorities. And sometimes, just sometimes, it can lead you to a love that is deeper, more meaningful, and more enduring than anything you could have ever imagined.